Can you tell us who you are and what you're working on?
I'm Csaba from the FBK CreateNet in Italy, and I'm representing the AGILE Horizon 2020 project.
What do you see as the greatest challenges for the project's technology area?
Well, the first challenge is to devise a software architecture which enables software reuse as much as possible, and also enables different developer communities in the IoT ecosphere to work on this Agile software gateway.
Can you explain the Agile software gateway? What is it?
It's a software gateway. So the IoT architecture has different components, and the gateway itself is a component which is overlooked many times. It's just used as a relay between the things and the cloud, and it's just used for a vertical solution. While Agile is aiming for having a software gateway which is a generic architecture on which the gateway, which is actually nowadays a strong computing platforms, can be used to actually use computing, storage resources, and it's also a communication enabler.
If you could fast forward 3 years, what would you imagine would be the highlights of the project?
I think would be nice to be the platform for developing IoT gateways, not the only one I think, but a platform which is used by several communities. We are working a lot on enabling using it from different languages in a language agnostic way, and so it can be enabled for those communities who are believing in the role of the gateway in this architecture.
What kind of communities do you think you're targeting?
Actually, we are targeting two kind of communities. We are both on the software and the hardware side. One is, let's start with the hardware side. On the hardware side, we are building two gateways. So one is a maker's gateway, which is really meant for makers, and it's also something which is reducing the entry barriers for entering into this world of IoT application development. The other community, again, let's say from the hardware side, is we are working on an industrial gateway, still a modular gateway that can be adapted to different applications. That is both a migration path for someone starting with the maker's gateway, or it can be a solution for someone already having a business in IoT. On the software side, we are targeting, again, I think two communities, let's put it this way. One is, so first of all, we are building a language agnostic framework, which allows us to target different communities and allows us to have software use in the enablers that we are building. But as a developer, you can use different developing paths, let's say. One is enabling visual composition of applications, and here we are relying on Node-RED, that is basically JavaScript, Node.js-based application development. And on the other side, we are including Eclipse CURA, so Java-based, OSGI-based development. Next to this, there is also just relying on the APIs that we are exposing, still running an application on the gateway and developing it as an application, Dockerized, containerized, that is in the language that you prefer, with the dependencies that you need, without going into conflict with dependencies of other components installed.
So are you targeting any specific domains, or is this really domain agnostic?
Actually, we are not targeting verticals. We have a pilot, in-project pilots on different domains in the quantified self-health domain, in the monitoring domain, pollution monitoring, cattle monitoring, and in commerce domain, smart commerce domain. And we will have open calls for other applications. So it's not vertical specific in this sense.
That's excellent. Okay. So what do you see as the primary role of the Eclipse Foundation in your project?
So the Eclipse Foundation is part of the project, first of all, and it's part for several reasons. One is we are a European project, which is a project in the sense of ending in 3 years. And after the end of the 3 years, the software as a framework to live on, it needs community support. And for that we need someone who does it well. So the Eclipse Foundation is helping in that. There's a community behind it. There is the all everything that is needed to have a sustainable project afterwards. Second, Eclipse is helping us with approaching the community. Again, it's very much related.
Cool. Are you using any particular Eclipse technologies, existing Eclipse projects in your implementation?
Well, we do, even if, so what we use is really the Eclipse CURA gateway. So yeah, other than that, we are not confining the users of Agile to do that, but they are free to use it, obviously.
So you mentioned that you're doing this in a language agnostic manner.
Yep.
How are you accomplishing that?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So we decided to go for a Dockerized architecture, a Dockerized microservice-based architecture, relying mostly on REST APIs. Now this obviously have an overhead, so this is Dockerization. It works nice in the cloud, but it has an overhead. The fact is, it seems to work nice also on constrained devices, which are not that constrained. And we are working a lot on reducing the overhead in processing, in file size, that is update times, in in memory use, basically. We are also gaining a lot with Dockerization. Besides being language agnostic, we are gaining a lot in first of all in handling of dependencies between different components. So there are no clashes between dependencies because of Dockerization, or at least it's reduced to a great extent. And that's in the IoT world, that's a huge constraint, actually, that you put together your solution and that you arrive to a point where dependency is just clashing. You need kernel modules, you need many things which just make the solution non-maintainable, and we resolve that. And then there is the whole update process of the gateway, which can be managed through Dockerization. And actually, it also allows us to have add-on features like fleet management, for example, of gateways. Through a stable, small base on which everything is running in Docker containers.
Cool. Good. Is there anything else you'd like to add about your project or the work you're doing?
Well, I think it's we didn't mention the privacy and security issues. So we do something for both for privacy and security. Just by focusing on the gateway, we do a lot for privacy. Actually, it's a vision which we highly important. I would say that just by not releasing the data, privacy that's the level number one of defending it. We also provide local storage facilities, obviously, on the gateway to support this vision. And then we work a lot on security from many perspectives. So that is the containerization and reduced privilege of different components, and the identity management parts for users, and credential storage on the gateway itself related to data, and so where data is coming from, data provenance, and where it might go. Controlling all this, we have specific work on these topics.
Good. All right. Well, great. Thank you. This was excellent.
Thank you. At the end, by the end.
No, it's fine. It was great. So, thank you.
Thank you.